you do a lot of work with people who want to give up smoking. I would wonder how you might begin to use hypnosis to do that. I don't know, maybe a couple of ways, or two or three ways in which you could harness hypnosis for that.
You know, smoking is an interesting one because most clients turn up thinking they're addicted to cigarettes. And one of the first things I have to say to them is, well, there is a chemical addictive element, which is nicotine, but it generally lasts about 48 hours. Beyond that, what you've developed is a collection of habits. Habits in times, places, and with certain people, you will smoke. And I generally say to people, look, 99% sure you've never created an association with smoking and swimming. I'm pretty sure 99% that you've never created an association with smoking and flying on an aeroplane, right? So I say to people, you don't. So that those are just, again, I go back to those kind of, the unconscious will go into, will pattern match your day against things that have happened in the past and say, well, if I was ever in a situation like this, what did I do before? Just, to save time and energy rather than have to learn to do everything over and over again. So we use hypnosis. Again, I go back to the point I made earlier, which is solution focus, which is to help people imagine what their life would be like if they were no longer or a non-smoker. But I also I try to impress upon clients is that there was once upon a time, but again, not everyone, but most clients, I say to them, there was a point in your life when you probably believed in Father Christmas, right? And then there was a particular day in your life when suddenly you woke up or something happened and you stopped believing in Father Christmas, right? Just instantly, it just like happened, right? You were told something by someone and you stopped believing in Father Christmas. Just like that, right? Just like that. No effort at all. You just stop believing in Father Christmas. And I say, as easily as you could stop believing in Father Christmas, you can stop believing that you're a smoker, right? I just say,
You kind of use someone's experience to be able to convince them they are capable.
yeah, or again, as examples of, there was a point in their time when they were younger, and they used to wear, probably when they were a child, they wore, I don't know, size 3 shoe, right? And as their feet started to grow, those shoes became uncomfortable because their feet didn't fit in those shoes anymore. And their feet used to push against the sides and it became uncomfortable. And then one day they just threw the shoes away and they got a more appropriate pair of shoes that fitted them. And I say, in the same way you can just get rid of your smoking habit because you've outgrown it. It no longer fits you. It doesn't serve a purpose anymore. And go back to the point about conversational hypnosis, right? It's about them embodying that and then kind of imagining themselves in the future in those times and places where in the past they used to smoke, but they no longer do now. So some people say to me, oh, it's with that first coffee in the morning, right? So with hypnosis and their imagination, what it would be like to wake up in the morning, have a cup of coffee and be doing something else entirely different. And they're creating a new pattern match, right? They're now laying down that construct in their mind. So in the future, they wake up with that first coffee, the brain says, what do I do with a coffee in the morning? Oh, I don't know, read the paper, or I check my phone, or, it just, the unconscious doesn't say, oh, you have a cigarette. And it does something else entirely different. So we just use, again, it's solution focused. It's whatever the client comes in saying, I'm not in the business of telling people what their preferred future is. It's for them to, and then, but it goes with everything, right? Whether they come in with a fear or phobia, if they've got a fear of flying, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's what is that future version themselves? What's that preferred future look like? And kind of work backwards, really. Well, how did you get there, right? Once you know the destination, let's work backwards to where you are right now and work out how you got there, right? Rather than start in the present and work out how do you get to the future, work backwards from the future.
So I guess so this mixture of visualization and pattern matching and using metaphor, I guess they all form part of hypnosis.
Yeah, it can. Visualization sometimes. I mean, you may have come across a term called aphantasia, which just means you're mentally blind, right? Which is when you close your eyes, you see nothing. It's just complete darkness. So I have aphantasia, so I could do hypnosis, right? I've been doing hypnosis for 20 years, do hypnosis, self-hypnosis every day, right? So there's a particular phrase called "the map is not the territory," which just means that our construct of reality in our mind is based off our different senses, and how you construct reality in your mind is different to how I construct reality in my mind. And some people use more visual, some people are more kinesthetic, some people are more auditory, but within their language that they use, you'll get a sense of, and the metaphors they use within their language, you'll get a sense of excuse the pun, you'll get a sense of the sense that they prefer or when they close their eyes. So one of the things I try to establish is somebody visual, right? So I mean, I can be quite direct with that and just ask someone to close their eyes and imagine something, and if they can see it, then pretty much. But I tend to listen out for the metaphors they use within their language to determine if someone is visual. Because if I've got a client who's not visual, me saying, see yourself in the future becomes problematic because they can't see themselves in the future. Doesn't mean to say they can't get a sense of the future, but I've worked with, there's not lots of misconceptions because I've had people that come in say I've got ADHD, and is that going to be a problem? And I say, well, only if you believe it's a problem, right? Because I've worked with people with ADHD and they've changed as quickly as someone without ADHD. So it doesn't matter really. It's how they construct reality in their mind. I have a phrase. It's reality is plastic. It's not. I can't remember where I read it, but we receive about 2 million pieces of information every second in our internally, externally, from all the different senses, right? And our unconscious mind has to sift through all of those 2 million and work out what's 7 plus or minus 2. It pushes into our consciousness. So the vast majority of the information that's being received by the unconscious mind, we're not aware of. And there lies the problem, because what people do when they have a problem is they focus on those things which are the problem. So whether it be they're focusing on the craving or whatever it is, right? Or they're focusing on, I say, well, what else are you not noticing that isn't that, right? And help them shift. And people quickly get it, right? People have said to me, I wish I'd come to you sooner, right? They've gone through every other type of therapy. And said, if you'd have come to me sooner, you wouldn't have been ready. You needed to go through all those things, right? To get to me right now.
Interesting listening to you. I guess what I'm hearing is that something central to hypnosis is the idea of constructing a reality for your clients, you'd call them, but but not through reason, but through, I guess, through other methods. Am I hearing this right?
Not my reason, it's their reason, right? It's
Or I mean, not so much through persuasion, through rational persuasion, more through other techniques.
yeah, there's no, you know, yeah, um, I often say you will get no advice from me. I will offer you no advice. Um, I'm not here to persuade you to do anything. Um, you know, and yeah, I just use language. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Well, that's given me a lot to think about. Um, Thank you so much for giving up your time.
it's all right. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.